Welcome back. Now, at a time the majority of Nigerians are rooting for the establishment of multi-layer policing to curb the seemingly intractable nationwide insecurity, some Nigerians have expressed their anger against the statement by the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, rejecting the state police proposal, warning that the governors can abuse the outfit for political or personal gains and compromise human rights and national security. Although reports later emerged of the IGP walking back on the statement, saying that the views were those of Assistant Inspector General of Police in the Department of Information and Communications, Ben Okolo, who actually represented the IGP at the Conference on National Security and State Police in Abuja last week, where that statement was made. Now, in a disclaimer message now, AIG Okolo said his expressions on state police at the event were his personal opinions to stimulate the discourse and not the views of the Inspector General of Police or the Nigerian Police Force. However, the federal government has insisted that there was no going back on the initiative. At the same event, Vice President Kashim Shettima reiterated the Bola Tinubu administration's commitment to creating an enabling environment for the establishment of state police across the country. Now, the nation has been grappling with multifaceted security challenges for the past years, with the police authorities unable to roll back the crisis despite the deployment of various strategies, including, of course, the deployment of military forces across the country. Now, to address the anomaly, Tinubu and the state governors have now agreed to come up with modalities that would culminate in the creation of state police to tackle the security crisis. But some, of course, are still opposed to the initiative. Joining me now to discuss more on this is Nnamdi Okonkwo, who is a former commandant of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps and also a security consultant. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. You look at that mini drama, if you like, that happened last week, where the IGP, well, if you ask me, he walked back on his statement, even though the AIG who represented him at that event later said, well, what he said was his opinion. But of course, he represented the IG. So one tends to get the impression that the IGP had to walk back on that statement after the vice president came out forcefully for the establishment of a state police force. And so we have a situation where the IGP does not want to be seen to be, working against a policy that the government that he works under has adopted.
For the establishment of state police. And I have been one person who had stood up to say you don't need to establish a state police. What you need to do is gather the quota for each state of the federation and then the federal character, and distribute these police officers to their respective states of origin. And then they will start and develop what we call community policing. Expand on it and consolidate on it. So why would they have to run a state police? A state police now, I will tell you that running a state police is nothing other than treasonable as far as I'm concerned. You call for a state police now, will you be ready to call for a state army, state air force, state navy, and so on? Are we calling for secession of states by asking for state police? Because the moment you adopt a state police issue, you are going to have to adopt a state customs issue, a state fire brigade issue, a state air force issue, a state army issue. How would you tackle that in the face of all the crises that we have? I would rather the IGP synergize with other security agencies and then put together a formidable force against all the insecurity that is being perpetrated, especially in the northern states of Nigeria. These things are simple. A mere surveillance to detect, you communicate, and then you countermeasure, then you control everything. It's very simple. Even this one that we brought in the army, I think is too early. If the army gets defeated now, what happens to the rest of the security agencies?
But let me just get this straight. Why exactly are you against this whole idea of setting up a state police? Is it because you fear that along the line it might be abused, as some people have also pointed out, including the AIG who represented the IGP at that event, the issue of abuse, and some people have also pointed to even the recent political drama in Kogi State. That you look at what happened, the way the former governor of the state used the security agents that were actually posted to provide security for him, the way he used them against the EFCC and all of that, that could just be a clear pointer of the kind of abuse that we might see in the future.
Well, I know that there would no doubt be what we call misuse of the police force by whoever the governor would be. It is very obvious that it will be misused. Already 7 police officers in the state are being misused by the governing body in each state. So why create a state police now that you know that you have absolute authority on? Are you going to have 36 or 37 state police commissions? It is not going to be possible. It will not work. Because you need one singular police agency, according to the constitution of the federal government of Nigeria, that Nigeria will have one police force. And in order to create a community policing system, transfer every singular officer of the Nigerian police to his local government area of origin. Share it according to the quota and the character system. And then everybody would have been in the state. You would have achieved a state police and also achieved your community policing, develop, expand and consolidate on policing system. Whilst you look at how to countermeasure the rest of the criminalities we have within the society. These things are very simple.
So it would appear that where you have a problem is when it comes to administrative structure, that setting up state police across the various states could create some kind of a problem when it comes to administration, as in because I mean in terms of command and control, that might be sort of cumbersome. Is that the reason why you're pushing for this idea of posting the current policemen that we have to their various states of origin or local governments of origin?
You see, when you look at the word police is not an issue of vigilante. A singular police officer is so trained from level A to level Z, and they are all available within the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and they are all from each local government of the states. Transfer them there, and then you can have a singular administration to hold on to administer each of these states according to the instructions of the IG through the Commissioner for Police. Whereas the IG will singularly also deal with the Police Service Commission. And you have a direct order from the Commission straight on to the IG, and the IG straight on to the Commissioners of Police, and the Commissioner for Police down the line until it gets to the DPO. And each area will now have an authority to deal with the laws of the state and or federal laws according to how they come. But to have a counter administration for a different set of police officers in the same state, manned by a commissioner for police, I think that will be too cumbersome. And it will.
But the other argument,
there will be a gamble.
But the other argument is that look, if this has worked, if the idea of state policing has worked in other places like the United States of America and some other jurisdictions now, why can't it work here?
It cannot work in Nigeria. It is not possible. Nigeria was not so designed. If you look at the administration of the police from a long time immemorial, dating your mind back to the 50s, there were special constabularies only for the protection of the colonial masters. They didn't care about the people. And that is still the same to date. The police is just to care for the governance, people in government. They don't care about the people. What they should do now is try and care for the people. Creating a state police will even worsen the whole idea, and then the administration will be completely gobbled. So this is what I think, and they should please look deeply into it. Otherwise, calling for state police is another way of calling for secession of the confederating states. Every state is a confederating unit of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. If you go now and create a state police, are you trying to set them further apart from each other, where they will no longer be part of the confederating unit? Then, months later, they will ask for their own state customs. Months later, their own state army, and so on and so forth. Then this is a clear way of saying you want to dismantle confederation in Nigeria, and then we go into unity government, if that is what they want to do. Otherwise, anybody calling for state police now, I think the person is calling for anarchy. Because state police, establishment of a state police right now is just to dissuade all of what they have been doing in terms of federal operations, in terms of police force, EFCC, and so on and so forth. They cannot now create a state police. Nigeria was not so designed. State polices are everywhere in the United States and in some other European nations. Nigeria was not so designed. America is so designed to have state police and local government police. At the time in Nigeria, we had local government police, and then we have the other group they call the Dandoka that were in the customary courts. But today, the system does not call for a split in the Nigerian police system.
All right.
It is too early a stage in democracy to say you want to have a state police. It will lead to secession.
And the fact is, from the body language of the hierarchy of the Nigerian police force, I don't think they actually subscribe to the idea of a state police, even though they are not bold enough to come out and say it. And I guess that's the reason why we had that small drama over the comments now made by AIG Okolo, and why he had to come out and say, look, those were his views, and the IG had to walk back on it. But I can understand. That's the politics of it. Nnamdi Okonkwo, former Commandant of Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps and a security consultant, thank you very much for speaking to us now on this issue, and thanks a lot for coming on the show.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me and having me.
Appreciate it. All right, we'll take a short break now. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Don't go away.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, and use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.